Okay, so it's April 28th, 2025. And if you're in the UK today, you might feel that kind of celebratory vibe in the air.
Mm.
Today, we're diving into St. George's Day. Now, you might be thinking, wait, isn't that usually April 23rd?
Yeah, that's right. Good catch. This year, well, things got shifted a bit.
Oh, why is that?
Well, the Church of England, they decided to move the official observance to today. Apparently, the 23rd clashed with Easter celebrations.
Okay, that makes sense. So it shows how even these, like, really old traditions can be flexible when needed.
Exactly. It's quite interesting, isn't it, how things adapt?
Definitely. So our plan today isn't just to, mention it's a holiday. We want to really dig into what St. George's Day is all about. Like, what does it actually tell us about English heritage, maybe English identity today?
Right, we've got some interesting stuff to look at. It seems, first off, that it's really positioned as a day for the whole nation.
Not just like a London thing or a regional thing.
No, the idea is national unity. That seems to be a core message, trying to foster that shared experience across England.
Okay, I see. And how does that actually look on the ground? Does it very much?
Oh, absolutely. Our sources paint a picture of real diversity. You've got quieter village events, maybe fetes or local gatherings,
Right.
but then you also have much bigger, more vibrant stuff happening, especially in cities like London. Think parades, traditional performances.
So quite a range then. What kinds of performances are we talking about?
Well, things like Morris dancing, which we should definitely talk more about, folk music, outdoor festivals. It seems the aim is to celebrate English pride and history in lots of different ways.
So it suggests English identity itself isn't just one single thing.
Exactly. It reflects, different local flavors, different ways people connect with their heritage, but there are common threads for sure.
And one huge thread has to be St. George himself, right? The legend.
Oh, absolutely. That's central. The classic story everyone knows, the knight, the dragon.
Rescuing the princess. Yeah, it's one of those tales that just sticks.
It really does. And whether or not the dragon part is historically accurate, well, that's debated. But the symbolism,
That's the key part.
yeah, courage, heroism, that whole idea of chivalry, these are the qualities that got attached to St. George and sort of by extension to an idea of English character.
So it's less about the literal story and more about the spirit it represents, what the material calls the spirit of English tradition.
Precisely. And you see that reflected visually, too. You mentioned sources talking about public squares.
Yeah, decked out with the St. George's cross, that red and white flag. It's quite striking.
It is. And those symbols work as visual anchors, don't they, for that collective feeling. Plus, it's not just visual.
No.
Think about the sounds. Our sources mention folk bands playing, local choirs singing, just the general, cheerful noise of people out celebrating creates a whole atmosphere.
Right, an immersive experience. And you mentioned Morris dancing earlier. The deep dive really flags that as a highlight.
It comes up again and again.
For anyone listening who maybe hasn't seen it, we're talking colorful costumes, bells sometimes, very energetic, quite intricate dances.
That's the one. Lively routines, often with sticks or handkerchiefs. It's visually very engaging.
Right.
But it's more than just a performance, isn't it?
How so?
Well, it often involves local groups, communities practicing together, performing together. That builds connection, right? A shared activity.
Fosters community spirit. Yeah, I get that. And it's not hidden away either.
No, you'll find it in village halls, but also right out in town squares. It shows these folk traditions are still, alive and kicking.
It's a living tradition, not just something in a museum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A direct link to cultural heritage that people are actively enjoying today. It's quite something that these things endure.
It really is. And, well, speaking of engaging the senses,
Mm-hmm.
the visuals, the music,
Yeah.
what about taste? Does food play a part?
Oh, definitely. The sources move on to the culinary side. And it sounds pretty good, actually.
Yeah. Like what?
Think local markets, pubs really making an effort. Showcasing, as one source put it, some of the finest British fare.
Okay, now you're talking. Like hearty pies, rich roasts.
Exactly, that sort of thing. And local ales, of course. It's presented as a way to, savor the flavors of England, connect with that side of the heritage.
Makes sense. Food is huge for culture, isn't it?
It really is. And sometimes it goes beyond just pub grub. Some regions apparently have a tradition of proper St. George's Day feast.
A feast, like a big sit-down meal.
Yeah. The sources mention things like, well, classic fish and chips,
Can't go wrong there.
roast beef with Yorkshire pudding,
The ultimate Sunday roast vibes.
pretty much,
Yeah.
and maybe sticky toffee pudding for dessert.
Mhm.
These aren't just meals, they're culturally significant dishes, you know. part of a shared food history.
And it's the social side, too, I guess. Families, friends getting together.
That seems crucial. Sharing food, sharing company, it reinforces that sense of community, that togetherness, which seems to be a big theme of the day overall.
Absolutely. Shared meals are often central to celebrations everywhere, aren't they?
They really are. A very fundamental way humans connect.
Okay, so we've got the festivities, the traditions like Morris dancing, the food. But the deep dive also pushes a bit further, doesn't it? Into the deeper meaning.
Right. It frames St. George's Day as a moment to reflect, to think about what being English means, maybe in the 21st century.
Which can be a complex topic.
For sure. National pride, identity, these aren't always simple things to talk about, but the sources suggest the day offers a chance to connect with some, let's say, core English.
Values.
Like
Right.
bravery comes up, obviously, linking back to St. George, loyalty too, and this idea of a deep connection to the land and its people.
Okay, so it's trying to anchor it in something more than just, waving a flag. It's about underlying principles.
It seems to be the intention, celebrating what's seen as unique about English culture, its traditions, its people, which, of course, leads to interesting questions.
Like, how does that fit with modern multicultural Britain? How does identity evolve?
Exactly. And the material does touch on that. It suggests the day is also an opportunity to discuss that evolution, to consider how English identity is changing, adapting. It's not static.
No, national identity never is it? It's always being shaped by new influences, global connections.
Precisely. So a day like this can be a time for that conversation too, looking back, but also looking at the present and future.
And maybe those symbols we talked about, the red rose, which people might wear, or displaying the St. George's cross, they take on that meaning too, expressing that connection.
Yeah, they become visible markers of affiliation, of belonging,
Yeah.
connecting past and present, and maybe signaling a place in the wider world going forward.
So bringing it all together then, we're celebrating, or rather observing St. George's Day today, April 28th, 2025, a slightly unusual date this year.
Right, because of that Easter clash.
But the core idea, the essence of it, seems pretty strong. It feels like more than just remembering a historical figure.
I think so too. Well, today is the focus for the parties and parades this year. That spirit behind it, the English pride, the community aspect, the connection to heritage, ideally, that's something present year-round.
It's a moment for reflection on history, but maybe also thinking about the future direction too.
Yeah, looking both ways. The takeaway seems to be that English pride is, well, very much a living thing, expressed in old traditions, but also in new ways people celebrate who they are.
A dynamic thing, constantly engaging with what Englishness means now.
Exactly, in all its complexity.
So for you listening, as you go about your day, perhaps just take a moment. Acknowledge St. George's Day. Think about those threads we discussed. History, unity, pride. And maybe it sparks a thought about, well, how national identity does evolve and what role traditions, old and new, play in shaping who we feel we are.
A good thought to end on.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.